the major question that we have is, how do you start with it as a company? Because often marketeers, they get the briefings or the business reality that kicks in and that says you have to sell product A, product B, product C, and then they collaborate with an agency. How do you, when that's your reality, how do you shift to the good advertising story?
I think one of the kind of transitions I think a lot of agencies are feeling, and I think a lot of clients are asking for it, is probably for the agencies to be involved maybe even early in the supply chain. I mean, you hear a lot about agencies wanting to innovate and create innovation hubs and things like that. And I think because the marketing landscape is changing so dramatically, advertising is changing so much, I think the whole structure of the brief kind of seems a little bit odd, because I mean, you kind of really need to solve a marketing challenge and not just a communication challenge. So I think that's how those things need to start. And I think some of the questions that agencies traditionally not have thought about was, you know, I talked about this kind of almost like an iceberg, when the tip of the iceberg is the advertising story, which when I started in advertising was the thing that, you know, we loved it and just tell the best emotional, impactful story you could. But everything underneath that water level, you know, how's the product made, where is it made, by who, how does it look in the retail space, how do you create that experience, all that stuff I think is so essential. So it's I think it's much more complicated today than it has ever been. And I think the clients need to be more open towards agencies to invite them in to really solve commercial problems, because I think as an industry, what the agencies can is they can innovate and bring fresh ideas. And on the agency side, they kind of need to start asking more difficult questions to the clients. I think the brief is irrelevant today. I mean, in the shape that it has. So there needs to be some rethinking done there.
Aren't you afraid that I mean, you share the example where that good advertising actually works and that it increases the product with the Unilever examples. Do you think that this also results into more short-term strategies? Because that's where a lot of, especially fast-moving consumer brands are worried about, short-term goals. Do you think it has a role to play in short-term, or is it more long-term strategy?
I mean, it can be a very dangerous path to do it for the short term. I mean, it's like if you pretend to care. I think people are gonna look through that, and I mean, that's why it's sometimes so difficult for marketeers to kind of start doing some of this stuff. But I mean, as you know, I showed in the presentation, kind of 4 of those big mega trends that's going to shape our society going forward have some sort of sustainability connotation. And I mean, digitalization, as the Belgian speaker talked about, no, you know, that's a given. But I mean, the 4 other things are so important as well. And I mean, a lot of the companies need to find out how to do it. I mean, you have the other day the head of sustainability from IKEA talking about them having reached peak furniture sales in Europe. So they might not be able to sell more furniture in Europe. You have car makers looking at different materials to make lighter cars, magnesium. So there's a lot of new exciting innovation going on in that space, and I think the ones that truly succeed are those that really want to create a sustainable business and a sustainable brand, and not those that just kind of create a course marketing campaign or fake it. So I showed a campaign like the one from P&G, like a girl, is that's a company that traditionally has been very old school in its kind of marketing tactics. And I mean, for them, I think it's great to can inspire other of the brands to follow that approach. And of course, one thing is the voice impact, putting out the communication, but what does it actually do for these young women to actually empower them? So that's of course also some of the questions that you need to be asking yourself.
Do you think it's for it's possible for every company to do this? Because of course you have all these types of companies that are into chemical industry, that kind of industries, where it might be a little bit well, it feels not natural that they move into the good causes. What's your opinion on that?
I mean, but that's just a personal take. I mean, businesses that are truly unsustainable, I mean, I don't see them have a role, to be honest. But I mean, now you talk about chemical companies. I think it comes with a bit of honesty. I mean, if you look at a company like BASF, the German chemical company, they've been very clear about and very honest about they have so many different ingredients. I think they have about 100,000 products. And what they looked at, they said, okay, a certain part of our portfolio is really challenged. I mean, I think it's 15%. What can we do in the near and long term to kind of substitute those challenged ingredients? Others are less worrisome, and then there's of course some that are more sustainable. So I mean, putting that out there in the open instead of hiding it's kind of the first step, I think, towards improving it. Because again, brands need to be like people, and we don't like people to be perfect. So I mean, for brands to come out there and say, you know, we're not perfect, but we're working on it, it's a winning strategy as well.
Okay. Final question. Do you have any sort of advice to the audience here today so they can start doing things differently tomorrow?
Yeah, I think the one question I start asking in the beginning, and it's really simple: what's the value of advertising? If you can answer that one question, I think you can create a valuable and prosperous brand. It's really that simple.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Cool, thanks.